This week on AYL TV, we're throwing it back to an awesome ride on the Finch's Draw Trail, where the terrain got brutal and an axle paid the ultimate price. Then we're off to the breathtaking Lost Creek Rose Meadow Loop for a great side-by-side ride. And finally, we're taking it global with an incredible whitewater adventure in Uganda.
What do you think?
I think we are looking at the most beautiful site in the state of Utah.
That
is Utah, is it not?
Yes, we are. I think we're still, Wyoming's right over there and Utah's right here.
Amazing.
Hi everybody, welcome to At Your Leisure. I'm Chad Booth.
And I'm Ria Rossi Booth, and if you're scared of heights, don't come here. But it's worth it if you're not.
Yeah, we are riding with some of the locals out of Manila today, out in Daggett County. And we started our adventure by staying over at the KOA campground, and they've got little cabins there. You can bring your RV up. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. They've got some nice lodging across the street.
Oh yeah.
And next door, and so there's places to stay here.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't have an RV, you can just roll in your car and just enjoy.
Exactly. But this is near Sheep Creek, and this is a high overlook. It's along a ridge, and I think we're making our way down the ridge today to see some really spectacular shots of the lake below.
So what trail are we on today?
It's called, I think it's called the Finch Loop.
That's right, we talked about that.
Yeah, it's for the birds.
It's definitely not though, but I can hear them. And I see drones too, so it's for the drones too that are flying around.
Let's find a little bit about this trail. I think people will find it interesting.
It's an area that has things that I didn't even know existed here. The terrain, the ride, the remoteness.
It's a little like Moab, a little like the West Desert.
It is more than I anticipated, yes. It's a little more challenging, and the terrain is not what I was expecting. I was expecting more mountain stuff.
And from the highway, when you're looking towards this direction, it doesn't look like there's all these awesome little slick rocks and trails to go into. So it's been a really pleasant surprise that's got a lot of beauty into it. Taken a lot of pictures.
Yeah, between the Paiute and the Arapine, I mean, those are the big ones. But I'd never even considered this until this trail right now. And here we are.
Here we are, and we're coming back. Yeah. We've already made that decision, coming back.
I like to try to go where there's not a lot of people, and that really appealed to me. This area is just a quiet area anyway. That remoteness, that lack of the big crowd is a big draw for me.
It's kind of a combination of so many different areas in the state. If you're familiar with overall the state,
into one spot.
In all one little great package. I mean, it's just a beautiful little package.
I want a cabin up here.
You
right
do?
Here, Chad Booth. This is amazing.
Hey! I found them.
Oh my gosh, you found us. We thought we ditched you.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
Not in your rig. There's no way.
When we say Brett is our tail gunner, we usually mean he's right at the end of the loop, not a half hour behind us.
Yeah, sometimes the tail's a little longer.
That's great.
I'm glad you got caught up with us.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't this gorgeous, this trail?
This is unbelievable.
You'll have to go back and do that first part a little slower so you can take it all in.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I wasn't slow enough.
I love that you brought your wife with you today too. She's gonna have a ball today.
She's gonna love it.
Yeah.
We had to get up early to get here to do it, but
obviously not early enough.
yeah, there you go.
We got up sooner than you did because we got here 10 minutes before you.
Yep.
Anyway, we are going to leave here, take off to this week's Where To.
Tucked away in Sevier County, Utah, there's a small town with a vast surrounding area to explore.
Aurora is not really right close to anything specific, but it's very close and accessible to a lot. If you want to ride 50-inch trails, there's a whole assortment of just 50-inch trails. If you want to ride the bigger machines, the sky's the limit on where you can go in any direction. You ride the Paiute, you can tie onto the European. It's just limitless where you can go.
There are options to ride through landscapes that seem untouched by time.
I can't say it's changed a lot. This last part of this trail, today's the first time I've ever been on that. So there's a lot of trails close by that we probably haven't been on, but we end up seem like going the same ones quite often. But this last part of this trail we've been on was the first time today, so we're enjoying that part.
With all this space to explore, even after decades of living in the area, there's still potential to discover something new.
I thought more people were aware of it, but these are some artwork that my dad showed me years ago. Some pretty extensive stuff, you know. People have been defacing it, which really makes me sad. It almost makes me not want to show these places to people because, you know, it's this kind of stuff's never gonna come back. So anyway, it's pretty amazing. They've been here for who knows how long. To find it, you're gonna have to earn it. Yeah, I've known about this since I was just a tyke. We'd come up here fishing.
By spending time in these special places and sharing the respect we have for them, we all become custodians and can protect it for future generations.
The whole family loves it, and that's good. It's good to keep your families together, and I think being in the outdoors renews your strength. It just gives you added energy.
I like being in the mountains. If I'm 45 years old right now, when I get home I'll be 88.
That renewed strength and energy is well gained and spent on the trails out here.
So we left the west park of Aurora. We rode up Lost Creek. We're in Rose Meadows now. We're going to hit Rex's Reservoir, and we'll go back down to Lost Creek and back into town. It's a loop, so there won't be a whole lot of backtracking.
There's a great variety of stories and history in the area, a time to reflect on the hard work it took to create the road network in these harsh conditions.
A lot of the roads made during Depression up here by the Civilian Conservation Corps, they've done a lot of these markings on the rocks. They would carve names of valleys and roads and stuff in the rocks and paint them, and they've held up pretty good through the years.
Thankfully, the locals are welcoming and willing to share their amazing surroundings with visitors, but with just one small request.
Come and enjoy what we have. Just respect it while you're here, because we don't want to lose the privileges that we have. If you do come, carry out what you carry in. We don't want the litter. We don't want the off the trails, but we'd love to have you enjoy it fairly to the rest of us.
For this week's Where To, I'm Steve Brown.
Hey everybody, welcome back to At Your Leisure. I'm Scott Huntsman at my TuneX shop in South Jordan. This is what's new this week. What is new is this 2018 beautiful Toyota Tacoma pickup. This happens to belong to my brother. I'm glad he picked this up, but I'm gonna help him out with this today. With the great product that I'm gonna review today from ReadyLIFT, we're going to lift it so he gets some better ground clearance. After he's done driving on the highway and goes off-road, that extra ground clearance is going to help him get to the places he wants to go explore. Let's get this inside. Let's take a look at the parts that we're going to use today. Come on, let's get going with this. This ReadyLIFT is going to be a spacer lift. It's going to space the front springs of the struts down, which lifts the vehicle up. That's what these are for. For the rear, because it's a leaf spring suspension, it's going to be a suspension block that's going to go between the leaf spring and the axle housing. Also, these wheel spacers, we're going to install these on all four wheels. When we put these spacers on, we bring that track width back out. In fact, we even exceed what it was. That makes it safer, that makes it drive down the road better, and it's going to handle better off-road. All right, guys, so we're going to start out with this. I'm going to take a little baseline measurement I'm about 34.5 inches to the fender, and on the rear I'm 35.25. Now this is a baseline so that we know what to expect when we're done. All right guys, so we're thick into it now and we're doing all the hard mechanical stuff on the front of this. Part of that process was to lower this differential. The reason we lower the differential is when we raise the vehicle, we get too much of an angle on these axle shafts. So lowering the differential front slightly compensates for that. And that's the reason for these spacers right here. Now, I've got the strut in my hand. To get that out, we had to unbolt the lower control arm, the sway bar assembly. That's where this spacer comes in place. Going to fit right on there. We bolt it down, torque those. These are now the new mounts. We flip it around and on in it goes. In case we're at the back of the vehicle, we move the truck over to a twin post hoist. By doing that, what we've done is lowered enough to install the block. That block has a taper to it. What that does is that corrects the pinion angle of the rear axle for the drive shaft. So we lift it, but we retain the pinion angles already built into that. Also, this shock absorber, they gave us an extension to the stud. We just use a little hose clamp that's gonna retain that boot for us. We're gonna put it in, we're ready to get this thing on the ground, get it to alignment. All right guys, last step, we're on the alignment table, but I am measuring, we're just a little more than 37.5. You know, that's perfect because it measures exactly the same at the rear. We're lifted and level, it's perfect. Last step is the alignment, that's very, very critical. And then I'm gonna give it a road test. I'm gonna try this thing out and get it dirty. Now, if you want one of these systems, come and see us here, TuneX, South Jordan or West Valley. We do them in-house, alignments, everything, we do it all. And hey, this really turned out great and it's gonna look good. I'm Scott Huntsman, more at your leisure in a moment.
You know, Manila seems like a small town, but this really puts it in perspective when you're up riding along the ridge. Welcome back to At Your Leisure.
Yeah, this is amazing up here. And you can just see the entire town from here.
That's true. Now, if you have not been up to Manila and made it a base camp for adventures like this, or whether you're going to the lake to go boating, and you haven't been up here in like, say, 10, 15 years, things have really changed in Manila, and we should really spend a little time finding out about it.
There's so much to do here. I know that there are a lot of trails for hiking, biking, off-roading, fishing. I mean, we haven't even mentioned fishing yet. If you want big fish, I mean, what Flaming Gorge is really well known for is their massive trout. You've seen people holding them in both arms. That's what I'd like to do, is get back out on that lake and catch a few of those.
And the boating's great here as well. We think the terrain here is as interesting and diverse as you'd find anywhere in Utah.
It's a great base camp. I mean, that's what Mark and I often write about on our blog, and what we like to talk about is staying in places where you can kind of make it a hub, you know, base camp, if you will, where you can stay put, unpack, stay in a nice place, or stay, you know, wherever you're camping or whatever it may be, and then do day trips from there. And this is an ideal place of doing that, because in almost in any direction, you can jump in the car and go to some interesting adventure area. So it's a great base camp. Well, it's, you know, this is a small county. This is what, the smallest county in Utah? A population of about 1,000, just Dutch John and Manila. They're very small towns, they're very quaint. This is an area that's kind of in the outreaches here, but it's really not that far from Salt Lake. We saw a sign in Manila that said it's 174 miles. So every route here is a scenic route, right?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Manila is I think Wyoming divides and Utah divide that town up. And so you're just a couple of blocks from Wyoming or from Utah, depending on which direction you go.
Okay, well, now that we've seen all the amenities of Manila, this is the history of Manila. This is called Name Rock. It's up the canyon. If it could only talk, boy, could it tell some stories. Speaking of stories, next is our Along the Way.
There is still some debate as to where the source of the Nile, the world's longest river, actually is. One thing is certain, the section of the White Nile starting in Jinja, Uganda is a whitewater enthusiast's dream come true. We take a look into how locals and visitors fall in love with this special place.
I grew up as a fisherman, The company I work for, ReadyLIFT, their lunch spot used to be close to our home. We used to go, like my childhood friends, like going to that island to see people coming on the island. When they leave the island, we go there, we eat leftover food. That's how I met like the friends in ReadyLIFT, working on the lunch island. So it was easier for me to see them. There was no English at that time, so no speaking English to them. But as I was young, like it was kind of fun to go to them and helping every day.
The Nile has proven to be a strong attraction to international whitewater devotees as well.
I was very fortunate to grow up in a family that was very passionate about kayaking and spending as much time on the water as we could. Coming from South Africa, we had no shortage of wonderful whitewater really close to home. The issue with those rivers is they were very seasonal. So if you wanted to be on the river more than a few months of every year, you had to travel. When you're in those circles meeting people, you'd often get suggested. That's how I heard about Uganda. On the equator, year-round whitewater, and just like this real paradise for kayaking and rafting.
No matter where you come from and how you get into the sport, it often takes a helping hand or a few to get into the industry.
I met the guy who was called Rainbow. So he had a kayaks at the time. He gave me his boat to learn how to kayak. So Olo was the first person to teach me how to row. They took me big Whitewater. That was my first time going there. Anyway, I didn't swim the entire rapids, but it was super huge rapids, like Vijagali, Silverback. I didn't swim for the entire rapids. That's how I started like coming in every weekend. They hire you just for the day to work as a safety kayaker. That's at the time when I started learning English.
Good communication as well as technical skills is essential for keeping guests safe on the river, and the dedication shown by Ugandan guides in perfecting their craft is evident by the great work they do on the river. South has been able to visit the U.S. and gain as well as share his experience.
People that helped me to get in, which was really hard. I feel like I want to give this opportunity to other people. They can get jobs here, and I feel like they can work hard here.
This idea exchange can be a great benefit to everyone. Although it's a serious career for some, there's a lot of fun to be had enjoying the whitewater of Uganda.
People, they can travel Uganda more, they can come on the Nile, they can visit the Nile. There's a lot of things to see in the country, going in the national parks to see the animals. The tours comes in, they give a big support for the local people.
And thankfully, the Ugandans are welcoming about sharing their slice of heaven. For this week's Along the Way, I'm Will Oxley.
Welcome back to At Your Leisure, everybody. Listen to these dulcet tones, so peaceful.
Yes, tranquility in the desert.
How is this that we are on this fabulous trail, the Finch Trail, and we're standing literally not on the graves, but we are at a pet cemetery.
Yeah, out in the wilderness.
Yes.
Okay, and it's
So
not
cool.
it's not pet finches. It's pet doggies.
Precious puppies.
This is Zeke. This is where
Yeah.
he was laid to rest, and Butch is over here, and Andy's over there, and
that's why we're not standing too close, because we don't want to stand on their precious little graves.
you know, this is one of the really cool things about all the years we've been doing At Your Leisure is we find stuff like this.
Yeah.
And we don't always have a chance to really share it with you in detail because we got to make the show fit in half an hour. So starting for season 21, we are going to change that with At Your Leisure 24/7. This is a very special place that you as an insider can go and get bloopers, behind the scenes content. You can pick up special show segments, extended cuts that we don't have time for.
Right.
And you can learn the backstory about things like Ezekiel and Butch.
No, really, it's so fun, and we're so excited to launch this thing, so stay tuned.
Yep, look for it. The sign up is coming any week now. on the At Your Leisure website, AYLTV.com. Right now, let's take a look at next week's show.
Next week on AYL, Kurt Miles and Jake Anderson from Slick Rock Productions team up with the BLM and DNR for an unforgettable ride through Moab, showing how epic adventures and responsible land use go hand in hand. Then, Phil Rawlings is heading south as he joins the Utah-Arizona ATV Club, while they take us on a tour of the stunning South Fork Indian Canyon Trail. Now, let's take a look at our calendar of events. First up, June 12th through the 14th is the Moab Red Rock Rally, which is the premier side-by-side event in the Moab area. This rally is going to offer some of the best rock crawling in the world, and it's one that you won't want to miss. Then, June 25th through the 27th is the National ATV UTV Jamboree, which is the longest-running ATV jamboree. Come take part in the tradition and hit some great guided trails in Millard County.
We've had a great time today with the posse from Daggett County. Brandy, thanks for putting it together. Trevor, thanks for leading us. Sorry about your axle, bud. Bob, Mark, it was really good to work with you guys today. Of course, as always, having the tail gunner along makes the day go better. And
yeah,
you guys were, yes, you guys were really brave to show up. That's all I got to say.
It was a great group.
So one word about this trail. It is not a beginner trail. If you just bought your machine last week, do not come here.
Yeah.
But if you had a few years experience, you know, you're comfortable riding off camber, you know how to pick a line, you can dodge some big holes, and you've got somebody that knows how to spot.
Yeah.
And you don't mind getting the scratch or two.
Exactly. Or submerged, or the broken axle, all of which happened today. Just grab your friends, you will have a dynamite time.
This is a beautiful trail. It literally has everything, like water, mountains, dirt, you know, the scenery, the windows of all the arches. I mean, honestly, it has everything. It's fabulous.
Check it out on Utah or OutsidersUtah.com.
What is it called again?
OutsidersUtah.com.
Don't forget.
And then be sure to check out AYL 24/7. It is going to be up and live in a couple of weeks. You can go to AYLTV.com and check it out. I think I've covered everything that I need to cover except settling up with the blackmail picture.
And I don't even want to know what that's about. No.
Just remember, there is adventure around every bend.
You just got to get out there and create your own adventure at your leisure.